Good afternoon, all. I hope all of my subscribers are doing good. So it has been long time since I have started teaching the Spring Boot application in various areas. So I think it has been around 4 to 5 months because there are some personal problem in my life, and I'm still trying to overcome on those situation. So good afternoon once again to my all my subscribers, and also happy Sunday to all of you. So today I will start teaching the annotation, basically the custom annotation. So in my previous video, I have already taught the different type of several annotation called at the rate transactional, at the rate auto add, at the rate component, at the rate service. So there are a couple of regular annotation which we are using in our daily basis whenever you are writing any code, or whenever you are implementing a new features, or doing any new enhancement. In that particular point of time, you used to use those kind of annotation, right? But today I will show you how we can create the custom annotation. So before proceeding the custom annotation, so let me give you some overview. So why we want to use the custom annotation? So in a modern days, so if you see the annotation part in that real time example, so for the custom annotation is one of the important useful feature in our real time example. Why? So why do we want to use the custom annotation? So because whenever you are trying to implement a new feature, let's say for new validation, new custom field validation, so you are creating a new web page, so where you just client has been requested to give some custom validation like email id should be having at the rate in that email ID, it should be contained at the red symbol, or in the password page also it should have one letter, one uppercase, one lowercase, at least 15 characters. So lot of custom validation we are currently using while developing any web page. So for those kind of custom validation from the front end part, so if you want to create some custom annotation which will be indicating for those custom validation, then this will be useful in that scenario. So I can suggest you, if you want to use any database connectivity, then you shouldn't use the custom validation. Sorry, custom annotation. Why? Because whenever you are using custom annotation, you have to write a couple of codes which will not be coming properly while doing some database transaction. Let's say you are doing some you have written some custom annotation for some custom validation, as well as also you are trying to do some auto adding for some particular field. So in that scenario, that will be giving some null pointer exception over there, because whenever you are doing the custom annotation, so I will show you first over here. So there are two custom annotation I have been created. Okay, so before starting of the custom annotation creation, so I will give you the three parts. So whenever you are trying to write any custom annotation, you should be keeping in your mind, you have to give at the rate target annotation in that custom annotation. So whenever you are start writing any custom annotation, first what you need to do, you need to create an interface. But that interface is not like the interface which we are used to habituated in our Java programming language. Basically, what we are doing in that, we are creating one interface, a public interface, that interface name, and we are keeping some abstract method. And in that main class, we are just implementing that interface, and we are overriding those kind of methods. But here, you have to give the syntax like this at the rate interface. So this is the first thing. Whenever you are creating any custom annotation, you have to create an interface, but the syntax should be like at the rate interface. After that, you have to keep three things. The first thing is at the rate retention. So what is retention? So retention basically determine when that annotation will be compiling in your entire application. So basically that retention part is having three types, that retention policy. So one is the source type, another one is the class type, and last one is the run type. So what is the source type? So retention policy dot source. So when we are using the retention policy dot source, so retention policy dot source we are using on that particular annotation which will be using during the source code and which will be discarded during the compile time. So I will give you an example. I hope all of you are familiar with at the rate override annotation, right? So whenever you are writing some interface, a public interface, let's say card, and you are in the main class, you are implementing the interface. So whenever you are implementing the interface, what you need to do, you need to add, you need to implement unimplemented method which you have mentioned in that particular interface, right? Whenever you are implemented that unimplemented method in that particular main class, you have to give at the rate override annotation, right? That at the rate override annotation is belongs on retention policy dot source type. So that means that at the rate override annotation is basically coming on the source code and discarded from the compile time. Okay, so there are a couple of at the rate retention policy dot source retention type is present annotation type. One is at the rate override, one is at the rate functional interface. So whoever are using the Java 8 feature, so those guys are already aware of the functional interface. So those functional interface also, so at the rate functional interface also, they are using a retention policy dot source. And another is, yeah, at the rate override, at the rate functional interface. So these two are basically using that retention policy dot source retention. Now I am talking about another type, that is retention policy dot class. So for those particular annotation, whoever is using retention policy dot class, that means those retention policy are compiling during the compilation and discarded during the runtime. So those annotation are compiling during the compilation and discard during the runtime. But in Java, sorry, in Spring Boot, most of the retention are belongs into the retention policy dot runtime. Why? Because whenever you are, so let's say for the at the rate autoware, so at the rate autoware, at the rate component, at the rate configuration, so whenever you are started your application, that time that injection dependency injection will be injected, and it will call the at the rate autoware annotation. That means everything will be doing during the runtime. But if you are using at the rate override, at the rate function interface, those annotation are using retention policy dot source code. So that's why whenever you are implement any interface, so there must be showing an error that please try to implement the unimplemented method, whatever you have mentioned inside the interface. So that's whenever you are doing the unimplemented method, you have to keep at the rate override. Okay, so this is the retention part. So if you see here, so at the rate functional interface, at the rate suppress warning. So if it is a null pointer exception, couple of times we should use at the rate deprecated. Okay, now the second thing is target. So what is target? Target means in which part you are trying to apply those annotation, because all of you know that we can apply annotation at field level, we can apply annotation at class level, we can apply annotation at parameter level, we can apply annotation at method level, we can apply annotation at constructor level. So that's why the we have to keep at the rate target annotation, and inside that we have to specify what will be the element type. That means where you want to use your annotation. Let's say for at the rate auto add, at the rate auto add, where you can give in the class level at the rate auto add, in the method level also you can give at the rate component. At the rate component is the, if you see at the rate component, at the rate component is the always the class level element type. So if I show you here one example, so if you go, so here element type is equal to type. So element type equal to type means is nothing but the class level annotation, because every time whenever we are using at the rate component we should give as a class level annotation. Similarly, method level annotation is at the rate bin. So, and again if you are checking, so let's open this one. If you are see here, if you are see at the rate auto add, so an auto add annotation you can use the field level, you can use the method level, you can use the parameter level, anywhere. So that's why here if you see they are mentioning target at method level, so you can use method level, parameter level, so you can use as a parameter, field, so you can use as a field. So in our annotation here I have created, and also the third thing is documented. So what the documented means, the documented means it is coming as a java doc annotation while running the application. So once you have created this one, now you should keep the method, whatever the method, how you can annotate the particular annotation. So here for the custom annotation, I have just annotated with two method. One is name, another one is primary key. And also you can give default equal to false. If it is, if you are not mention anything, by default it will take the false value. Now what I have done, I have created one domain class football. Here I have just annotated with custom annotation. Give the name, player ID, and its primary key is true. Similarly, I am giving the name here, player name. So the name is not the primary key. So that's why I have here, though we are not mentioning is primary key value, so it is taking as a default value false. Similarly for this club also. Now, how you can identify whether your annotation, custom annotation is working or not. So let's go to the main method where the execution starts. So here I have created one object for this particular domain class. I have added the three fields, and now what I have done, so whenever you are trying to check whether your custom annotation is working fine or not, so you can check in this way. What you need to do, first you need to do the for loop. So inside that for loop, what you can do here, one of class is there, the class name is field. Okay, so it's that field class is coming actually java.lang.reflect package. So in that field, what we need to do, we need to check the annotate, whatever the annotation we have mentioned in the custom annotation class, we should check what are the fields we have annotate with the particular custom annotation class. So that's why we are doing here get annotation. So and then what we need to do, we need to just change the accessible as a for the public accessible, as that we are setting set accessible true, and we are getting the value and key also. Whatever the value we are passing with this particular annotation, we should give the value, get the value as well as the primary key also. So if I run this program, so here you can see field name player underscore id. If you see here in our custom annotation, we are giving string name, and in the domain class we are giving custom annotation name equal to player underscore id. That's why in that main method, we are trying to get the field name first. The field name is, well, because as we are annotate with our custom annotation name, that's why instead of id, whatever the id we are keeping here, private int id, basically it will take this one. Instead of this id, it will take this one, player underscore id. Why? Because we are adding here the custom annotation. So that's why it is showing like that, field name player equals to id, and we are setting here field value, we are getting field value, and also in that particular id we are mentioning primary key is true. So that's why if you see here, also we are getting the primary key value as true. Similarly, for other true fields, we are getting the player underscore name instead of name, because we are annotate those particular field with our custom annotation, and we are getting the value as we are not mentioning the is primary key value. So the default value is taking as a false. Okay, so this is the way you can create custom annotation at field level. Okay, so here I have mentioned as a parameter level, field level, constructor level. Okay, and retention policy as runtime. Now I will show you how you can use custom annotation as class level. So I have created another custom annotation. So that element type should be the type. If it is the class level, that element type should be the type. So here I am taking two parameter. One is string name and one is int value. And I am giving the default. If we are not passing anything, then default value should be showing over there. So if I show here in that particular class, so you can see here I am creating the class level annotation, because we have created one custom class over there where I am doing the class level annotation at the rate class annotation, because it is not the field annotation. That's why we can't able to give here at the rate. So if you want to try also, let's say if you want to give also here at the rate field level, so you will get the error. So this annotation is disallowed for this location, because as we are, sorry, yeah, as we are mentioning the element type dot type. So if you see here we are mentioning element type dot type. That means whenever you are mentioning element type dot type, it is indicates as a class level annotation. Okay, so here that's why we are not annotate those annotation in our parameter or field level. So only we can annotate with the class level. So here I am annotating with the class level as a name and value. Okay, and I am giving the constructor and all, and similarly I am creating the operator, means that for that object for the particular class, and I am trying to fetch the value, what are the value are present over there. So here you can see, so what are the annotate value. So here you can see, as I am annotating class level annotation with Garfield and one, so that's why I am getting these two value, Garfield and one. Because so here if you see the class level annotation, so string, sorry, not this one, yeah, string name default custom class int value default 1, but we are passing over there Garfield value 1. So if we are not passing these two, let's see what will happen. So if we are not passing these two, and if you are trying to run this application, see, if you are not passing anything, we are getting whatever the default value has been mentioned in the class annotation custom class 1. Those values should be populated over here. But if you are mentioning anything over there, then you that dynamic value should be replaced with the default value. Okay, so these are the two type of annotation I have implemented. One is the method field labeled annotation, and another one is the class level annotation. Okay, now I will show you the method level annotation. So as the method level annotation are little bit tricky over there, so here I have created one method level annotation. So let me show you. So here I have created one method level annotation, and I should keep the element type as method. Why? Because it is the method level annotation, and I am giving the string value as default method. Similarly, and whenever you are trying to create the method level annotation, it's not the straightforward like the class level or field level. You have to create some aspect class. Why? Because whenever you are trying to create the method level annotation, custom method level annotation, that custom method level annotation is basically annotated with the aspect annotation. So if you go to the particular aspect annotation, you can see it returns as per the expression. Basically, the aspect annotation is working on the method level annotation. So that's why what we need to do, we need to create one aspect class in the aspect object programming in the Spring Boot application. It will denote the class as an aspect class, and it will check when the method will be executed. So that's why what we have done, we have create one we have created a class which will be annotated with the at the rate aspect annotation. And then here you can see like that we have giving some method over there. See, we are doing at the rate around. What is at the rate around annotation? So at the rate around annotation in the Spring AOP is basically denoting to create the advice that runs before and after the method execution. So basically, whenever you are creating the aspect, so whenever you are annotate any class with at the rate aspect, it will advise basically for the particular class, and when it will advise the particular class, and it will check what are the different join points are there, what are the point cuts are there whenever doing the method execution. So what can that at the rate around will do? So if you go to this one, basically that at the rate around is a method level annotation. You can see over there the element type equal dot method. So that's why we are keeping over there. So what that do, it will modify the input, it will run after the return value, it will skip the target method, it will choose to proceed the join point. So when we can use that around at the rate around, so whenever you are trying to use the frequently for any method, or whenever you are a database is required, whenever you are doing any caching mechanism, that point of time we can use at the rate around. And when the states needs to be shared before and after the execution, like if you are doing any thread concept in the Spring Boot application, if you want to share the shared thread result before and after the execution, So that point of time you can use at the rate around annotation. Okay. So after at the rate around, so what we are doing, we are just here, we are creating one method called wrap and we are doing some join points. Excuse me. So what is join points in a Spring Boot application? So join points is basically represent a specific point in that application where the execution can be applied. So whenever you are doing any class as an aspect, that point of time you have to use the join point over there in the particular class itself. Why? Because that join point represent a specific point in the application execution where an aspect can be applied. That means whenever you are doing some proxy, auto proxy, that point of time we are using the aspect class, right? In the Spring Boot application, whenever you are doing some auto proxy mechanism, that point of time we are doing at the red aspect annotation. And whenever you are using at the red aspect annotation, that at the red, you have to use a join point. That means it specific a point in the application execution where an aspect can be applied. So you can use that aspect operation annotation along with at the rate before, when it runs the before the execution, at the rate after running it's run after the execution, at the rate after throwing it runs after exception is throwing by the method, it run at the rate after in bracket finally, it will execute after the finally method will be running over there. It at the rate around for perform the behavior before and after the invocation. So lot of things it will do. Okay. And at that point card also you can use, which is basically a signature to matches the join points. So here I have used at the rate around. So basically at the rate around annotation can be perform behavior before and after the method invocation. Okay. So and we have so here what we are doing, we are doing the join points and we are just doing that system.out.println and we are just doing the proceed. Okay, and here I am doing the method signature, which method is basically calling and how much execution time is basically taking. That part we are checking over there. So now I will show you how that particular custom method is calling. So here in that particular controller class, I am giving that annotation at the value and I am passing the custom method calling. And if I run this application and if I show over here, you can see. So I already told you at the rate around it will run before and after the method invocation. So this is the after method invocation and this is before the method invocation. So if I show here, repeat it, yeah, this is the joint one, this is before the method invocation and this is after the method invocation. So here you can, for better understanding, Okay, and method executed in this time. Okay, so if I save this one, sorry, and if I go here, if I do thread dot, oh sorry, not here. If I here do thread dot sleep, so let around some try catch. Here you can see this is for the before method invocation execution, and this is after method invocation execution. Or for better understanding what I can do, here, no, here, yeah, so this is the way we can create the custom method. So this is for the method invocation, before method invocation, and this is for the after method invocation. So let me check. Yeah, you can see, let me show you over there. Sorry. So I am running this one. Thread has been slept for 2000 millisecond. So here that current time millisecond is there. So after that it will run the particular method. So this is before execution, this is after execution. So that's why we are using at the rate around annotation. So at the rate around annotation is invoking before execution method, and after as we are doing thread dot sleep, so that's why we are here it is coming after annotation. So this is the way we can use that custom method level annotation. So today I am wrapping up over here. So I hope all of you are excited to see the Champions Trophy final. So all the best to our Indian cricket team. Hope we will beat New Zealand and we can win the Champions Trophy once again. Till then, goodbye. See you in next videos. And also subscribe Soul of Studies.